All right, everybody, welcome back to part 2. We are sitting here with Dr. Brian Harris again. And if you remember from last time when we did the part 1, it was transitions, what we do before the door opens. And now we're going to be transitioning into the art of enrollment. So how do we create an environment where there's enrollment-focused patient experience? And so, Brian, I want to talk about the connection between pre-appointment preparation and then in-office success, and kind of how you, because I think you alluded to a lot of this in the first time we spoke, right? But it's kind of setting the stage. Sometimes I feel like a dental office is theater, right? You're getting ready for the performance of things. So anyway, bud, welcome back.
No, hey, it's good to be back. And I felt like we left kind of on a cliffhanger last time. We had spoke so much about what happens before somebody comes in, and and I think that part's so important because it's what makes that in-person visit so much more effective and powerful. And I do feel like, at least I used to feel like I was on stage. I felt like it was like all an act where I'd have to, step up and like execute perfectly, or else they maybe wouldn't move forward with treatment. And so I think that's where all of the stuff that happens before everything we talked about in that last episode is so important, because it sets the stage, it breaks down the barriers, it gets people like comfortable, it sets people free, so that when they do show up in your practice, they're open and they're not guarded, and they're not gonna be worried that you're going to try to sell them something. So I think it's important to note that all of that last stuff we talked about is what sets you free and sets the patient free. So now you can just take out.
Question for you before we get into it. Do you, because I think, decisions are backed up by data a lot of times, or they should be. Do you have the data on some of the outliers that live on your platform and some of the providers? Are you able to see, like, from success, is it booked on there from not you per se, but like other people on your platform?
Yeah. So what we don't have is the ability to go in and pull from your practice management software to say, okay, for every consult you recorded, this is exactly the amount of treatment that came out. You can track it within the platform, but it's not automatic. What I do know is the trends are all very similar for doctors that go all in and fully believe in this idea. National average is 30 to 50% case acceptance on high dollar cases. That's from the ADA. Most doctors that are leveraging the Smile Virtual Platform, right, are in that 87 to 92% case acceptance rate on high dollar cases, because once they're in the office and they've already had that virtual consult, they're already ready to move forward. Now it's just semantics and figuring out specifically what is it they want.
Yeah, then at that point, it's usually just abating either the fear of the procedure or abating the fear of the price, and having systems around that. But I always say, Brian, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. By the time they come in, after all that, by the time they come in the door and park their car and find your location and have mustered up the courage to come in, they've already kind of decided they're going to use you, I think, unless you shit the bed, so to speak,
Which happens sometimes.
Which happens, it happens. It's happened to all of us, right? But back to your point, I think in the come up years, our formative years, and Craig and I kind of talk about this a lot, that we thought we had to nail everything. Like the verbiage had to be a script, and like, oh my gosh, I said the when I should have said a, and like you feel like you had to be a perfect performance. And at the end of the day, the goal is just connect with that person, find where they are, give them hope, and then get out of the way, kind of thing, is my opinion on this.
Yeah, I think so. I think we all kind of grew up in that area, or in that era of, I used to listen to Paul Homley CDs on my way to work, and it was, isn't it wonderful when patients say yes? And it was like, I think he was the first real,
he's the OG.
The good communicator back in the day of talking to patients about treatment. But I think that a lot of those conversations were this idea of like, some will, some won't, so what? And it was more, okay, this is what you say to get them to do full mouth treatment plans. quadrants, half mouse, and it was very calculated, very strategic. But it was also way before the days of social media, way before the days of patients being educated on what's possible. So that's why I don't think those things work anymore.
I
Patients
think it was
come.
way before the days of websites, even.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Those tapes. I know those tapes you're talking about. I can see them now.
my
Like,
dad made me listen to him when I joined his practice in 2005.
same.
Yeah,
My associate job, I had to do the same thing. When I was an associate circa 2002, I had to do
I
the same
never
thing.
had any of this training.
Oh
Never.
my God.
Never.
Well,
I didn't
we
even
had
know
him
about
on the
this stuff.
pod, Craig, if you remember, either
No,
the
I know.
pod or
I
the
know. I
mastermind.
remember him on the pod, but that was like my first time hearing of him, unfortunately.
Well, you didn't have to go through it like we did.
Is every dentist listening to this should feel so grateful. And the times we live in now, it's almost like the best strategy is to roll around in front of the patient, and start off that in-person consult with like, hey, listen, you took time away from family, time off work, you're here. I know you're interested in doing something with the smile. Like, the most important thing to me is let's find something that works, that looks amazing, works within your budget. And the only way that happens, let's just talk openly about what those options are. Ask the questions you have. I'll be real open with you about what I think is going to be best, and you'll leave with a great treatment plan. So it's almost like the best way to, quote unquote, like, close a case or get someone to schedule is just total transparency and just being open and honest with
Like,
people.
I feel, Brian, what you just said right there, if I was a dentist who was struggling, I would rewind that, listen to it about 145 times, and execute on that, right? And I think what you did is you pre-framed that whole expectation. You looked them eye to eye. You wheeled around. You connected immediately, and you said, "Hey, is this okay if we do this kind of thing? Here's what we're going to do today." Pre-framing the expectations about what you want, what I want to see done. I mean, that's as hard as it gets. That's as hard as it gets, in my opinion, or as easy as it gets. You see where I'm going with that? Like, we sometimes make these big long scripts, and I'm going to come in, and then you're going to come in, and we're going to do this and this and this. You just said it right there. I think you nailed it. Craig, what do you think?
I love it. I agree with what you said, Peter, earlier in the conversation, that by the time they show up at your office, they really just want to like you. They're looking for confirmation bias. Like, I want to do this. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I finally made the appointment. I'm finally here. I did my research. I saw the Google reviews. I went on Instagram. I just want to make sure he doesn't screw it up.
Right.
That's it. So it's just what you said is such a transparent, beautiful way of saying it. Like, hey, let's figure out something that works for you. You've taken time. I appreciate that. It's just perfect. It's perfect. And we'll find something that fits into your budget too. So you kind of answered all the major concerns, connection, rapport, budget. These are, you just kind of pre-framed everything. I love it. I think you just do what you do, and we can just end this pod right now.
And that's a wrap for Art of Enrollment.
Do exactly that.
That's why I think the Art of Enrollment really is more, I title it like the buyer's process. Like, we talk so much of the sales process, and that's all like the things that we do. We say our treatment coordinator, it's like, no, if you just think about from the buyer standpoint, and think about like their main fears going into it, they're worried about being embarrassed or being upsold, or all these things. And I even, the easiest way to start that conversation for those looking for like an intro phrase is, I love the phrase like, hey, I just want you to know we do things very differently here. And it's just like, instead of trying to strategize and try to sell you something, or try to come up with different ideas of what you can do, like, we just do things very differently here. I'm going to share everything that I think would benefit you, and then we'll talk about kind of what makes the most sense for you, and what works within your budget. And that,
Brian, what would you say is, some people are born with this intuition, right, about how to kind of talk and communicate. I think that our profession is predominantly introverts, right? I think I look at guys like you and Craig, and I think like, okay, like they were born born to connect, born to kind of quote unquote sell dentistry, and therefore you've both been very successful. But for some people, some of us, it's anxiety ridden. Presenting dentistry, consultations, new patients creates an anxious situation, right? What if they don't like me, kind of thing. So I guess where my question finally is, how much is learned and how much do you think is just coded in your DNA of this aspect? Meaning could introverted be just as good as born extrovert at kind of completing cases or converting cases?
I think so. I actually think when it's done right, introverts will have more success because someone who's an extrovert or someone who's really good with words or really slick, it can almost be a detriment, in my opinion. Is like if you go in too smooth and you say everything just perfectly, it's like people, feel like they're being sold there too. So it's almost, I find the best combination is the confident introvert, the one that can just say like, hey, I just want to help you get what it is that you want done. And instead of trying to give you some big fancy sales presentation, if it's okay with you, I'd rather just take a look and share what's possible. And then let's decide what makes the most sense. I almost think people respond better to that than, if you come in with everything pre-planned and it's this big show.
Yeah, I like that. I like the competent introvert because it sets the thing you're trying to figure out is, can I trust this person?
It's authenticity.
And highly social people oversell. It's just the fact of them, like that's a big thing. We don't know when to shut up.
Well, I've got some friends who I think one of their detriments, I think to your point, Brian, I see them and they're actually like a little bit too cavalier in there because they're so comfortable with it. They're a little bit too cavalier with their consultations. And subsequently, it turns a lot of people off. So I am agreeing with what you just spoke of. Actually, I've forgotten about that. Like you would think these guys would have like just incredible enrollment, but they come in almost too hot, too cavalier, too no big deal. Yo, what's up? Let's go kind of thing. And it's doesn't work.
Can I share a story with you? Like
please.
Huge
we love
failure.
stories.
I call this a failure because it was a failure. This happened like 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. Probably one of the top 3 most important patients that I've had sitting in my chair, big time VIP, known all over by many, many people. And he was in for a consult. And I was so confident in my process, and we'll get into this here shortly with the Smile Test Drive and with like what I do to help people see what's possible. But I was so confident in that process, I didn't slow down to like really listen to him, and I didn't slow down to have this conversation of like, hey, I'm just here to help you figure out what's possible. And I was so excited to just show him my Smile Test Drive process that, I missed it. And I went in and we spent a lot of time doing the test drive, and it wasn't what he really wanted, and I should have thought about that, for someone whose smile is seen on a regular basis and who, people know his smile, his biggest fear was, well, I don't want to go and change that because people are going to notice right away. And what did I do? I went in and did this freehand smile test drive and changed his look immediately in front of him. And even though it looked awesome, it kind of fed into his biggest fear, and I blew it. I blew it. I could have done a simple smile shape and Invisalign and whitening and had him as a longtime patient. And as of now, he hasn't done anything. That sucks.
I couldn't love you more, man. I got to tell you this right now, because most people at your apex level, all we see is successes of success stories and things like that. So the fact that you just gave us a little humble pie on this pod I think it speaks volumes to your character. It really does. So thank you for that. Because in the age of the Instagrams and all this stuff, all we see is perfection. And so, a guru like you, someone who's created a platform and studied this, you blew it, right? And that's okay. That's okay, right? And so, like the message, and I'm having this conversation for the countless of people listening to this, like, perfection is the enemy of execution, meaning you're not going to be perfect every time. Just the act of doing and getting in the arena is what it's going to take. So I love that you just shared that, man. That gave me kind of tingles, honestly.
Wow, cool.
Craig.
Yeah, I love it as well. That's a very powerful lesson for everybody listening, because dentistry, unfortunately, is a very lonely place, and we have a lot of burnout and a lot of more serious stuff than just burnout. But dentists holistically are not doing well. And for you just to say what you just said, to be at the apex level that you are, that so many dentists long to be, half of your position, and for them to hear from your own words that you blew it and that this mattered to you. This was a patient that you really wanted to attract. So people can extrapolate that to their own situation. Maybe they practice in a small area, but it's the local pastor or the local, the principal of their kid's school. So we all miss the mark sometimes.
But your
So if you
takeaway
don't
from
mind,
that,
Brian,
Brian,
what was the thing that that had you miss your normal steps? Were you just
that's where
so
I'm going.
excited about who this person was? I mean, why did you go kind of off your normal?
Or nerves? Was it nerves? Were you a little bit like nervous?
No, I wouldn't say it was it was almost like, okay, so what had me missed, a couple things happened. He didn't go through a virtual consult before he came in, which is kind of like I try to get everybody to go through that, because that's what sets the stage. So when they're there, they know exactly what's going to happen. The second thing, though, is I knew he was coming in, and I knew, like, man, if this goes well, like, he's partners with so-and-so. I'm like, this is like, dude, this is big time. This is like next level stuff. And so, I went into it so confident in my process that it was all focused on me and what I was going to do to convince him that this is something he wanted to do. And that's not it. I think that's when we fail the most, is when we're in that mode of, let me just show them all these before and afters. Let me show them how good I am, or let me show them, what this could look like. It's really more this idea of like, hey, what's most important to you? And if I would have just asked him that question, he probably would have said like, hey, I'm on TV a lot, I'm talking a lot, what I don't want is, I don't want to be the person everybody's talking about that just had the new teeth, and if I would have known that, then I would have gone in way, way differently and just said, okay, let's keep your same look. Why don't we just perfect it? Let's even up the gum lines here with a laser. Let's reshape these edges where they're kind of worn down a little bit. Let's whiten things up. Let's give you like this upgraded version of what you already have. And it's going to look amazing. And the difference is, instead of it being a $50,000 or a $70,000 full mouth case, or even like a $25,000, like, upper 10.
Yeah, it's a $5,000 case.
It's been a $1,200,
enamelplasty and gum contouring, right?
But I mean, really, what was most important in that situation wasn't necessarily the production from doing the work. It was the relationship formed by being their dentist. And I missed that because I was just focused on my traditional process.
Yeah, you deviated from, you allowed, because of his status, you deviated from your process. And my point of bringing that up is you went in with the same energy as someone had come in the virtual, probably, right? And he didn't have the benefit of the virtual thing because of who he was. And so I think I think this is just the exact reason, Craig, we talk about this a lot in Bulletproof, is making sure that we have systems and protocols, because we will all have a tendency to go rogue at some point, right? Our team will go rogue, we will go rogue. And this is kind of what happens when you don't get the checklist out before you take the plane out to fly, kind of thing. It's like, oh shit, I forgot to put the fuel cap on. Like, what? And so it's very important in your team, in your dentistry, and even someone like Brian, like it's OG, just making a mistake is a mortal human, mere mortal. Okay,
well,
so
listen,
Brian,
maybe he's listening to this and he just heard this.
Yeah, he does.
He'll come back in because
he's a subscriber. I bet. Yeah, it's.
I mean, I don't know who it is, but
It might be.
There's a couple of million downloads, so he's got to be one of them. Right?
Well, listen, if he calls in the next 72 hours of this release, can you at least send Peter and I a text?
I'll give you guys an update. I've got a game plan of how I'm gonna come back around and make a win out of it. I think we forget sometimes Like we think because somebody didn't move forward to treatment, they're like, oh, screw this. I'm going to go down the street and go with someone else.
It's just not now.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of the time that's not the case. It's
Right.
just like confused consumers do nothing. He left more confused, and so he's doing nothing. He's not going with somebody else down the street. And so I think that's good for everybody to know too, of like, hey, if you miss it, that's okay. Come back, circle back around. There's ways to re-engage.
So Brian, you're bringing up something good as a lesson for people here right now. And I'm going to get away from the didn't enroll, but let's say I'm in my own practice and a normal soccer mom didn't enroll in treatment. What is your protocol for following up? Do you do it? Like, do you even follow up after a consultation? Either they sign up or they don't, or B, do you do it, or C, does your team do it? Like, what is the appropriate reach back out scenario, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I usually do a couple of things. If I feel like it would be helpful. So let's say a patient's in the chair, we have a great consult, and I have this feeling of like, man, it would be helpful for their spouse to have heard everything we just talked about. In those cases, after they leave, I'll sit down, I'll record a video, and it's just a recap video for them saying, hey, it was awesome seeing you today. Want to send you a video, recap everything we talked about. Oftentimes it's helpful to go back and listen to this and just know timing's everything. When you're ready, I'm here for you. So I'll do that if I feel like it would be helpful for whoever's making the financial decision with them to hear what we talked about. I'll send that recap video. If everything went well and it wasn't a scenario like that, I'm not fast to follow up. And the reason being is I think naturally, okay, so I'll give you an example. So we just built a new house. I wanted to put this killer garage in the house. And I found the company that I wanted to do it. They were local. I had no idea what things cost. I went down, spent like an hour in the showroom, went through everything. I knew it was going to be expensive. Then ended up getting the invoice or the
proposal. Mm-hmm.
It was like 4 times more expensive than I thought it was going to be. And so it's not that I don't want it anymore. It's just for me right now, I'm like, hey, I just finished building the house. I've been like 6 months of writing massive checks every other week to like finish this thing up. For me, it's a no, not right now. But down the road, it would be something that I like to do. And like, if I am going to do something, I'm going to do something with this company. If they were to be messaging me every 2 weeks, asking what it, like that to me would be a turn off, and it would make me not want to work with them. So I think sometimes if we want the sale more than they do, like if we want it more than they do, and we're always following up, I think that makes people tend to not to want to buy. Where if we just let them know, like, hey, we're here, everything. When you're ready, just know.
Well, Craig always says, Brian, that like, people have a built-in bullshit meter kind of thing, or a built-in, why are you almost like, why are you following up frenetically? Almost like you can smell something in it, and people are just kind of innately born with that, I think. But I think you coming at it with, hey, I'm not going to do it the afternoon they leave and didn't sign up. I'm going to follow up and to say, hey, maybe someone else wanted to hear this. I wanted you to have this. Maybe I know that there was a lot going on in that procedure. I want you to have this so you can refer to it and if you have questions, you can kind of refer back to what we talked about. And if you're ready, great. If not, I hope you find care. Not hope you find care somewhere else, but like when you're ready, we're here kind of thing. I think it's such a great way, as opposed to like, Tammy's CC'd on this and ready to get you going. What do we need to do to make it happen? Kind of shit. Like we've all been put into that, like that last thing in our email. What do we need to do to make this deal happen? Yeah. Like that's the opposite. And it's so off-putting. It's so off-putting when I get that kind of shit in my life. So, okay. Yeah, so
I agree.
So, okay. So let's go back. We've talked about a little bit of the psychology and some of your stories. I like this. So let's say, so you wheeled your chair around, you said what you said about 10 minutes ago. What next? Right. What after you did that pre-frame the expectation of the visit, like what's next in your process?
So in the in-person consult, in the video, I set it up where I let them know, like, hey, I would love to see you in person if you're local here in Arizona. I'd love to see you in person. At that in-person visit, we can talk more about all of these things I just mentioned, but also the main purpose of that in-person visit is for you to be able to see what this could actually look like. And a lot of that time we'll spend doing your smile test drive. That is where I'll build one tooth at a time. I'll kind of freehand a new smile on top of your existing teeth. And then you can wear it out for the day. You can experience like what it feels like to smile with confidence for.
Well, all right. So times, maybe I didn't explain that well. Let's say the patient's live, they're sitting there, you've wheeled around, you've said, and you've given them the, hey, set the expectations for the day. What are the other questions? Like, how do you get to, before you get into the mock-up or trial smile, what questions are you asking at that point before you know, because you said in the last one that you didn't listen enough to the that VIP.
Yes. Okay.
So where are you going from the time where you wheeled your chair around to be like, okay, now what? You've laid the expectations. And now you come with what questions? I want specificity to this because people like me need to hear it.
Okay. I'll be more direct then. So usually it's like, hey, I want to make sure you leave today with all your questions answered.
Mm-hmm.
I know I talked about a lot in the virtual consult, like before we jump into things, like what questions do you have from that consult? Or I'll say like, hey, do you know, now that you've had a chance to watch that video, do you know what you want?
Perfect.
And then usually after that, I'll just let them speak. I think a very powerful question when you can sense that there's some emotional component behind it. I'll just say like, hey, no, this is kind of an odd question, but it's important for me to know, like, why now? Like,
why now? Yeah.
Now? If this is something you've been struggling with for a long time, why
yeah.
now?
And you'll get usually I just got divorced or I'm getting married or
high school reunion
or wedding photo or something. Yeah. There's usually a life event. You're right.
I think that's a powerful question in general.
Oh,
so if,
you never know where it's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, I have such a different take on this whole thing because, you guys are both cosmetic dentists and I never considered myself a cosmetic dentist. So as you guys are talking, I have such a, just a generally different take on the whole process. For me, it was always the best dentistry is the least amount of dentistry it takes to make someone happy and healthy. So I've actually, and I'm sorry to add this counterpoint, but I've actually
I love that.
Spent a lot of time unselling veneers to people, and then it winds up being that sometimes they're like, I'm going to get it done anyway, so you might as well do it. But it's just for me, the why now applies, and I'm just trying to broaden the aperture of our audience for those that are just having trouble enrolling on general dentistry. That's a travesty, because if you have a low case acceptance on general dentistry, those crowns are turning into extractions. Those fillings are turning into crowns. And if you have $200,000 worth of outstanding treatment that's restorative based, it's costing the patients millions of dollars in potential disease. So I think I just want to widen the aperture that, yes, we're talking about cosmetics, but extremely appropriate for just need-based dentistry as well. And there's a lot of doctors out there that listen.
So Craig, you came at this because a lot of your career was orthodontics, right? Invisalign, the aligner treatment, right? And so you bring up a very valid point. I think when you're holding the screwdriver, you're looking for the screws. And so that was your screw as the quote unquote the orthodontist.
Sure.
And for Brian and I, we saw the end result with very conservative veneer restorations, and we knew that's what we went. The second comment to that is the other problem I see, Brian, with consultations is lack of certainty by the provider. A lot of people just want to be told, and this is my stance. A lot of people want to be told what to do. You need to do 10 teeth. You need to do 8 teeth, right? They're coming for that certainty. A lot of dentists I've seen that want the patient so desperately to like them give 4 options of, we could do this, or we could do super conservative and a gum lift, or we could do 28 teeth, or we could do,
it's
like
whatever
Brian
you
said,
want as the patient.
Yeah.
That really scares the shit out of patients.
And like Brian said, if you confuse, you lose, right? If patients leave confused, like they're not enrolling. And so I think one of my best attributes in consultations was I was able to just say with certainty, here's what I would do to my mom. And I would know that in my heart of hearts, right? And I would say, you just need to do 8 teeth. You need to do 10 teeth. This is going to change the game. And if you can't do that, we can of course do less, but like, here's what I want for you kind of thing. And I know I just went off there, Craig, but I think it's really, it's your own bias for what you practice. And you practiced more, let's move teeth before. And Brian and I kind of saw, hey, we can do it pretty conservatively with, and more immediate results, if you will. Right.
But Craig, you brought up a good point in that. I think what the advice that I would give to the more general dentist is to think about what their biggest concerns are. Most people's biggest concern is like going in, feeling like they're told they need a lot of work and just not knowing if it's stuff that really needs to be done. So like I always think of like, what's their biggest concern? Call that out right away. Like, hey, we do things differently here. What I don't want you to ever feel coming in here is that you're going to be overwhelmed with all the stuff that needs to be done, or you're going to be upsold. We will tell you if something needs to be done. I'm going to tell you because that's my job. But then there's going to be some other stuff that's kind of falls into that could do. And we'll tell you that
once first needs, right?
So yeah, I think it's just call it out.
But we've all seen those all on X practices that, oh, your tooth had a class 2 mobility. We need to, all these teeth need to be pulled out kind of thing. And we've all seen those cosmetic practices, like everyone gets 10/10, right? Regardless, like that's just our practice model, and we've all seen it. So I think that we're having a good conversation around where is that healthy balance of like trying to unsell, quote unquote, what someone wants, veneers, versus like overselling.
Can I add something here? So with my docs in my practice, especially the new docs that haven't really been trained in our system yet, they'll get a patient and they'll say, I need help with this treatment plan. And they're coming up with, 10/10 or, bridges and implants, all this different stuff. And I always say to my doctors, WMI, what's most important? What was the patient's most important thing? What's their driving factor? Mm-hmm. And if they tell me something like, well, I don't really know. It's like an architect saying, like, somebody comes in and says, I need a place to live. And they start putting pen to paper in AutoCAD or Revit, and they're building a 15-bedroom, 17-bathroom mansion for them when the person's what's most important. So going back to your ultra VIP, it's like, hey, what's most important? My most important thing is I need a little refresh. I don't want to make it seem as though I had something done. Got it. So that WMI is the most important thing. And then so if it's a patient that hasn't been in 7 years, hey, Bob, just curious, why has it been 7 years? Oh, you're scared. Okay, well, good. We have that blah, blah, blah. It was money. Oh, what changed? Well, my aunt left me $400,000 and said, fix your teeth. Well, you know what? Good news. You're not going to have to spend $400,000. But that just finding out what drives patients is the most powerful thing. What do we typically do? We try to just go into our default of what we want. We project what we would do without listening to the needs and wants of the patient. It's the most vital thing. So if we just could always walk away from every consult of WMI, what was most important to the patient, and even asking them, hey, Bob, what's most important for you? Most important is that I can chew food. Do you have any concerns about the cosmetics or looks of your teeth? No. Would you be interested in me showing you what you could look like? No. Okay, cool. Let's get you chewing.
Yep.
So good, Craig. So good.
But right? we screw this up a lot.
A lot.
I see these doctors in my that I work with just elaborate treatment plans. I'm like, well, why do they want all this? Well, no, they could do some veneers here, and it's really designed, I think, unfortunately, from financial aspects. Sorry, my wife is about to let the dog out again. If you remember that,
Brian, we had a funny thing. We're kind of launching this thing called a Bulletproof launchpad, where it kind of helps younger dentists. I won't go into it, but we were doing some recording right where Craig is, and his wife lets the dog out. The dog starts barking like right in the middle of recording, and Craig's like, "Oh my god!"
I freaked out. You should put that as a B-roll. Now my dog's here.
Brian, so do you kind of agree with like the WMI? What WMI? Philosophy.
I love that, and I'd almost encourage my associate doctors to even just use that phrase. I mean, straight up, just tell the patient, "Hey, we have a saying around here, WMI. What's most important?" It's something that we're always looking for. Is like, just to help you figure out what's most important to you, and then let's just take care of that.
Right.
It's just like even something like that. It seems so simple.
Too easy.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you know the answer, but if you know the answer to your point of the VIP, if you would have just known that, he would have told you flat out, most important, I want to refresh, but I can't look like something's done. Got it. Got it. So what I always ask is I make sure that I ask them whenever, like, I need help with this treatment plan. WMI. Yep. Oh, jeez, I didn't ask. Yep. I'm like, you didn't ask, so why don't we get them on the phone or call them and have a virtual consult? It's like, hey, got a lot of information here. I skipped over some of the things that are really important. Like, I never asked you what's most important for you, because I have like 15 different things we could do here. I can make you look like you're ready for your own talk show. I can give you teeth to chew with. I can make you removable teeth that you sleep with. What's most important for you?
But that's why the Smile Virtual is really good, and then you kind of preset that, right? They're able to think about that. Like, maybe it's not in the context of what's most important, but people are giving you context of what they're
giving
looking
you
for.
The context, because they have a one-way conversation.
Right.
What we do typically is we turn on the show. I went to the prestigious blah blah blah. So the Smile Virtual allows them to make the inbound inquiry without you interrupting them.
Yep.
It's the most important thing. If you're doing all the talking in your consult, you're selling and not listening. Like, you need to. A consult is really about absorbing the information. That's what's beautiful about having an ability like a Smile Virtual, is like that inbound inquiry.
So Brian, now you've had these conversations, they've given you feedback. Now what's next in your protocol?
Yep. So I'll ask them those questions. Is there anything that you need clarity on, or do you know what you want to do? And then that's usually we'll say, well, I'm actually now thinking like what bothers me the most really is more the front four, or it's like what bothers me the most is the front four, but I know I'm not going to be happy unless I do the rest of the smile. I'm kind of concerned about cost. And so once they go through all that, then it's just a simple question of like, okay, I find that when people come in to see me, they kind of fall into one of two categories. Some people just want to know like specifics, the details, and we can do that. We can look at your photos. I'll just tell you exactly what to do. Other people want to see what this could look like. If they are going to work with me, they want to get an idea of what their smile is going to look like. That's more my patients that are more visual. And so if you fall into that category, we have time set aside right now where we can do what's called a smile test drive. It'll take about 30 minutes, and that will give you an idea of what it's going to look like. And it'll also help you decide how many teeth we need to do. So what makes the most sense for you?
Brian, can I ask you a quick question? And it's a little bit in the weeds, but that smile test drive, is that procedure costs the patient some degree of money, right? They have to pay for that?
I do that. So for 15 years, I did that free. I would do free consults. That was part of my consult. Now for like the last 6, almost 7 years, I charge a $99 fee for that consult. That includes the smile test drive, because it's the reason I can do that is I don't have a lab fee. I'm not sending out for a wax up. I don't have any costs other than my time and flowable composite. And so there's $99 fee. And then if they decide to move forward with treatment, we credit that towards their treatment. So essentially, it becomes...
You know what? I just want to acknowledge you, Brian, because like there's so many things that you do that I would not expect a person of your caliber to do. Meaning, you a lot of people will look at you and say, well, when I get to Brian's status, I'm gonna have to charge $1,000 just to talk to me, and it's gonna be all this money, and they're not gonna see me, they're gonna see Becky, and then they can see me when they're ready to put down their credit card. And what you've done is, regardless of your success and influence, you're doing things that most of us mere mortals would be unwilling to do. At that stage. At their own stage. If I talk to some of my friends and associates and people that I know, they would say like, I wouldn't do that for $99. That's not worth my time. And look at you, I guarantee your collections, your productivity is a multiple of 4 or 5 of theirs, and you're willing to do this stuff. You're willing to do the 10 outbound, 10 smile virtuals a day. You're willing to do the consultations, and it's incredible to watch what you do. It's kind of like, and I don't know of a regular analogy, but like when you see what Tom Brady does,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like you just figure like
Good
he's
analogy,
just,
Craig. Careful with your sports metaphors.
I know,
Go.
I'm going to get myself in trouble. Like when he's practicing for his hockey games, you know, and he's just, no, Peter always jokes at me because I don't know sports, but like what I'm saying is you get rewarded in public for what you're intensely practicing for in private, and you're revealing your private life here, Brian, and you're showing people what you're willing to do on a day in and day out basis, and no wonder why you're extraordinarily successful, because you're just giving and giving and giving of your time and efforts and energy. It's really cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And you know, I'm not going to lie. There have been times where I'm like, you know, maybe I am doing too much, and it always comes back to, you know, this idea. I just believe that like when you give value and you give massive value, like eventually people want to reciprocate and they want to work with you.
Agreed.
And
It's a karmic thing. We talked about it last time. It's like just doing the right thing.
The law of reciprocity. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Brian, I want to double click on something you do, right? Because I don't think it's universal, and I did it too. But I think it gives a lot of dentists who are either doing cosmetics or dabbling in cosmetics, and there's a difference, anxiety. And that is the mock-up, right? Because you're doing it live. What if I screw up? I'll just wait and do a wax up. But I would encourage you. I did it probably on 75% of people, right? A lot of times people just like, I'm ready to go, and like there's no reason to do it kind of thing. but to your point, and these mock-ups are not perfect like a wax up. They are just showing the widened buccal corridor, the even edges. You're taking your expired flowable that you have sitting in your office. I used to collect a bag of just expired flowable, right? And you're not etching these on, you know, you're just giving people, and you're doing the quick artistic moves. And people freaking love it because A, they feel like they're getting something for their appointment, is what I think. And B, they're seeing the artistry of you, right? They're seeing their reflection in your loops, and they're seeing you move your hands around and do all these things and sit you up and ask for it. I don't, maybe I'm not communicating this well, but if you're not doing it, do it. Even if you think you stink at it, do it, because you're only going to get better. And it's such a vital part of cosmetic enrollment, in my opinion. This is my opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Oh, I 100% believe it. I think it's the best way for them to experience you as a clinician, to be able to get a preview of what their smile could look like, but also it doesn't hurt them. You know, it's not a painful thing.
It's like magic to them, honestly. They're like, how'd you do that? You know, hey, can I wear this home? Yeah, it'll probably fall off, but sure.
Like, what if you don't do a good job? And what I would tell you is I used to do it was a smile test drive course, and I would bring out 10 doctors, and then I would bring in 5 live patients, and the doctors would each do half a mouth, and they do a test drive on the patient. And everyone always goes in with the same fear of like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do it. And then you do it once or twice, like do it on a couple of team members first. Don't start with a 10 unit case, like start with peg laterals, start with 4 units in the front. But and size the ledges, lengthening, start simple. But I tell you what, like it's the number one tool to get people, you know, bought in on treatment. And it's the number one tool for communicating aesthetics. So I also do it differently. When I do it, I don't give patients the mirror. Same thing when I'm delivering a case. I don't give them a mirror with my camera ready to like record their
reaction.
Because most of the time, if anyone's gone through a smile makeover process yourself, it's a lot to take in. And it's a lot like, yeah, I mean, I just had my whole smile redone, finals put in 2 weeks ago. So I do this all day, every day. And to be able to even go through it myself, like you don't realize how changing the angle of one canine or shortening a lateral a little bit can completely change a look. And so instead of having them feel this need to be like, oh, this looks great, and if they don't like it, I do the opposite. I say, listen, this is very rough. This is a communication tool between you and I, so we can see where we need to be at from a length standpoint, where we need to be at from a shape standpoint, and I want you just to kind of just like take it in, and then let's talk about the things that we would still change. I think that's the more even if it looks.
Yeah.
Everyone should go through the
Yeah.
process. I've had my teeth done. You've had your teeth done. I think it made me a more empathetic.
Dude, I had a 12 DO and it made me more empathetic. Jeez. I was like, we do this to people. One of my doctors, I'll give her a shout out, Dr. Liesel, she says this thing to patients, which I love. She does this, composite veneer type thing where it's like pretty cool what she does. But anyway, she always says to patients, do me a favor, don't love this or hate this just yet. Don't love it or hate it.
Ooh, I love that.
I know you're excited, but don't love it or hate it. Just like, because it's new and the musculature and your phonetics.
Great verbiage.
Yeah. So I just love that she puts it out there that like, I'm sure you love it. It's almost like this like subtle, like suggestive prompt to say like, you probably love it. Just don't love it yet. Don't love it or hate it. Just let's kind of work
without
with
being
this.
presumptuous. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was really cool of her to say that.
That is good. That is good. That is good. Okay. And then Brian, I guess as we're kind of like going through this framework, if you will, let's say you've done that, you've set them up, you're not recording, you're not waiting for this big wow, you're just saying, cool. Do you get into what's next? Like what is in your verbiage? I think there's always this uncomfortable transition between like getting them on the books, getting them pre-approved for the money, like walk us through that.
Yeah. So what I do, once I set them up, I just tell them like, hey, this is to give us a rough idea of what we're not going to do. This isn't a chance to like go back and forth and make all these tiny little changes. Like we'll have the time to do that in the wax up. So I say that right up front. This is just to give us a rough idea. And then from this, we'll learn what changes we still need to make. Then once I let them see it, I'll say, hey, I'm going to have Christina take some photos. I'll come back in and then I'm going to tell you exactly what I think you should do to get the best result. So I'm very direct in saying, I'm going to just tell you exactly what I think you should do. So that's kind of as much for me as it is for them. So there isn't this like, well, you could do this or you could do this. Like, I'll just say, hey, this is what I think is going to be best. And, if we get to a point where it's starting to get outside of your comfort level of what you want to spend, let Christina know. We can scale it back. We can always do 8 instead of 10. But I think the best thing is for you to do 10.
Yeah, I love that non-binary approach. I know it's like, I think a lot of dentists are guilty of presenting the plan. And in the consult or the treatment coordinator's role, it's like it's either good, it's a go or not a go. So you pre-frame it like, hey, if this doesn't fit into your budget, no, we can scale this back. We can take you, you're at like a B, whatever, your smile's at a B now. We can bring you to a 92. It doesn't need to be 100. Don't let what we can't do get in the way of what we can do for you. I love that. I think most of dentists just let it go. And did they schedule? No, they thought it was too expensive. Well, shit, we could have done less.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I'm on to now, and it's made a huge difference, is, let's say it's somebody who can afford 10, but what they really need is 14, or that needs a full mouth, but they're in the budget for 20. I'll just tell them like, hey, there's a lot of different ways to do this. Like we can do porcelain on these, and then we can do some printed restorations on the others. It'll be an awesome long-term temporary that'll buy us 3-4 years. We can come back and do those at a later date. So just know, like, it shouldn't be a conversation of, can I afford this total cost? It's more a conversation of what makes the most sense and what can you afford, and let's just start there. So just leaving it open to conversation, I guess, giving them permission to, to ask for something different if it doesn't work.
Are you involved in the, do you give people the price, or do you put that on your treatment coordinator? Do you get into minutia of financings or how to afford it, you personally, or do you step away from that?
I let them deal with all the financing options.
I did too.
All of that, but I will not shy away from quoting.
You'll ballpark it for them, right?
I'll ballpark it, and I think offices are different. If your office works with a ton of PPOs, your team is going to kill you if you start ballparking things like without really knowing what it's going to cost. It's just very defined in my office. It's an all-inclusive fee. So I can tell people with confidence, hey, 10 teeth, 25,000, all inclusive, exam, x-rays, records, temporaries, finals, comes with a night guard. Any shaping of the lower teeth that we need to do, we'll include that in there. So then I know if it's 20 units, 50,000. If it's full mouth, it's 70,000. If it's 4 units, it's 10,000. So I am comfortable quoting fees, but I let them deal with all of the specifics of that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that too. You don't want to shy away from like, oh, I can't talk about that. I'm the clinical guru, right?
Yeah. Or Becky's going to handle that.
Becky's going to handle it. All right, see you later. Hope to see you soon. And that's good.
Yeah, I actually don't even know what we charge. It's bullshit. Like they know it. Like I don't know. Becky handles all that. She'll just make it work. Bullshit. Becky would get in a ton of trouble if she gave you a 50% discount.
But beyond cosmetics, Craig, we see this a lot. Dentists get very uncomfortable talking about fees.
And you know what that means? That means you don't feel you're valuable.
Yeah.
I think if you
Brian,
can't
what say you on that?
Yeah, I was just thinking talking like general dentistry. Yeah, it could be. I guess it gets more complicated. You really don't know, but I think it's more phrases like, hey, what, it is going to be an investment, and sometimes this stuff can get a little expensive, but I promise you, it's investment's worth making right now, and we'll do everything we can to get it to a place where it just makes sense for you. So I think it's okay to just acknowledge like, hey, it is a big investment, or like we're really good at what we do and we stand behind our work, and that's why so many people trust us. And we're also very understanding that, sometimes we need to get creative in helping people pay for things because it can be a big investment.
Any other like tips of, I think we covered a lot of kind of the when people are in the chair. And I think this is a good framework for people to follow and then adapt to their own swagger, right? Whatever they feel.
Let's talk discounts. You want to do that for a minute?
Yeah, I got it. I've got a great story hack for you here too.
Okay, good. I'll share one and then you share one. But
go.
So here's my belief my belief changed. I went to this negotiating seminar for business where it was all about like how to negotiate.
Was it by Voss? That guy,
Karas, Karass, I believe is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
But what I learned from that was that like negotiation in business is normal in a lot of industries. And so anytime somebody asks for a discount, I say, hey, you know what we don't do is just discount treatment, because, I believe that the value we provide is worth it. But what we are willing to do is we're willing to, to work with you on the cost in exchange for value, and so, if for example, I'll say like, hey, we do have something that's called a modeling agreement.
That's what I have, Brian. Same story. Yeah. Okay.
Before and after photos. I also have what's called a teaching discount. This is for certain cases that are great for when I'm out lecturing. If you're willing to give us, whether we take 20 minutes or not, I always just tell them, hey, what I'm going to need from you is about 20 minutes, additional 20 minutes to each visit, where we can document things in exchange for that. I'm willing to extend a 15% discount for us to.
Wow, 15, generous.
So I'll use that when I know, like, I just had one the other day, very well-known cosmetic dentist. She had a consult with him. For whatever reason, he came down to a lower fee than what mine was. And I was like, I didn't want to just lower my fee, but I also it was a case I wanted to do. So I just said, you know what, I don't have discounts like that. I said, what I do have is what is called a educational discount, where, it's going to take some work on your end. So with time, you got to be willing to let us use this, but then we can work out something on the cost. So
such a good point.
Discount it without devaluing.
Yeah, so Brian, such a good point.
It's funny how like Craig and I have a story where we found each other kind of in 2016, and we have very different practices. But as we had all these conversations, it was like all these nuances. We had like, yeah, we do that and we do it kind of like this. It was all these aligned things that we do, right? Very, very, very similar. And so when you telling me all these things, it's like, wow, okay. It's had the same things. So we just called it a model discount. And I got to tell you, And I only gave like a 5%. But I have to tell you, from a psychological perspective, when you tell someone they are going to be a quote unquote model, right? It is amazing. And I feel like it was such they got a little bit of money off. So right now things are quote unquote on sale. Can't afford not to get it. And B, you just told them that you feel in your heart of hearts that their case is going to be so good that they are now going to be a model, right? And it's always like, oh my God, I can't unhear this. And so it was almost like a conversion tactic for getting people to say yes, because I don't know who doesn't want to hear all the aforementioned things. And I know you're not using it as a sales process, but if I felt someone was on the edge, and I can see in my heart of hearts, like, man, this is going to be an incredible before and after, I would just say that to them, like, this is going to be incredible. I'm willing to give you a model discount because if that's what it takes, kind of thing.
I think there's another point here too, is obviously the overarching thing is that you don't want to just indiscriminately give a discount because it diminishes value.
Correct.
So what we're really talking about is, I cannot do any more for you, but if you can do something for me, then we can exchange something. So in my world, I did the same thing. I never used the model discount. I said, for the price that you're asking, for a 10% or 5% discount, we can do something for you. However, we cannot hold your appointment in the books. So what we can do is, if we have something show up that's a last minute, 1 or 2 weeks out, and someone just drops off the schedule because of an illness or something, we can put you in that time, because that time is now wasted for us. So if you're willing to be flexible, we can't make an appointment for you today, but if you're willing to be flexible, we can give you that 10 or 15% discount, whatever it is. But you have to be ready to go in about a week or two. Is it the truth? Not entirely. It's not entirely truthful, but it's allowing the same exchange. I can't do anything more for you, but if you're willing to do something for me, we can have a.
But you're creating value in a different way. Scarcity.
Right. Same thing.
Right. And so I think that these books, like, Brian, we talked about it. I think these are two good reads, like learning like the Cialdini's principles, right? And when you're talking about dentistry, and even like the art of negotiation, because as we've learned, like, life is a negotiation, and it's not creepy sales tactics, but like, we negotiate with our spouse, we negotiate with our kids, we negotiate with our business partners, we negotiate with our patients. Like, it's just we negotiate with our employees, kind of thing. So I completely agree that this is all just
I actually
excellent.
like that, because I would call that the ASAP discount, like, hey, and that's for those that, like, maybe it's general dentistry, want patients, it's just outside of, but like, hey, this is what we can do. One of the things, and I like how you framed it up, one of the things that's hard for us here, because we keep such a tight schedule, when somebody cancels last minute, it's really hard to fill that. So what we do is we have what's called an ASAP list. And that's for those that are wanting somewhat of a discount on treatment. And, when something opens up, we'll give you a call. And, at that rate, we can do it for, this type of savings. So it's not just giving it away, but you're getting something in return.
Right.
And, so I like that.
And the patient will feel better too at the end of the day. Yeah. So if you ever go in for a procedure and you're like, it's $100, you're like, will you do it for 70? And they're like, hell yeah. Yeah. Like, damn it, I should have offered
said 50. Yeah.
So it's all about building value, and people who are masterful at cosmetic dentistry are masterful at communication. Because at the end of the day, it takes so much self-esteem and confidence when a patient's getting rattled, even if they have a very good result. If they're looking for you to be the North Star on their result, and you're like, well, I kind of see what you're saying. We could do another one. We could take that one off. And you get this wishy-washy doctor, the patient spirals out of control. They're looking for somebody to guide them, because want-based dentistry is different from need-based dentistry. Like we said in the first podcast, it's a journey. Come with me. Let me take you to this new place that I'm going to take you to, where life is going to be great. And when they see you rattled, like, I don't know if I should have done that. Maybe, I think I might have opened you too much. Like, those, you lose that case, and then they have to find another doctor to reel them in. So it's like, for those that are aspiring to be amazing cosmetic dentists, I mean, good for you, but you better invest as much in your psychological training as you do in your cosmetic actual clinical training. It's 50-50 in my opinion.
Speaking of discounts, did we ever establish, Brian, what someone could get from listening to this pod? If we just put in code Bulletproof.
Well, if they're willing to sign up when we're ready, so they can't sign up today. We're a modeling discount.
Has to be ASAP. It has to be
right.
when you're ready.
Or you want to be a model.
Yes,
I think we did establish last time that the promo code is going to be Bulletproof.
Yeah.
And I think what I think would be ideal is like waive the $1,000 setup fee.
Perfect.
Give them $100 off for the first 3 months of the monthly subscription. The reason I like that is, one, I don't believe in free month trials because we don't use it. You know, I mean, whenever we have that, we just don't use it.
Don't value it.
I do believe in in getting as aggressive as possible when helping people out. And so waive the $1,000 setup fee, $100 off a month. And then I almost think it would be cool, maybe specifically for Bulletproof practices, might be kind of cool to do something every quarter where we just hop on like an evening, mastermind call of like best practices when it comes to.
Oh, we're definitely going to have you in our mastermind next, speaking to our peeps. So thanks for saying that, Brian. And you're going to be headlining at Bulletproof Summit Scottsdale 2026. So
stoked for that.
It's going to be awesome. We've had to wait now 3 years to get you, right? So talk about scarcity.
Speaking of scarcity, we have like 40 doctors on our wait list to attend this weekend. 40 doctors, like literally, like please, like I'm getting, it's crazy.
The Ritz, we bought out the whole Ritz Orlando, and it's not enough, unfortunately. So good problems to have. Luckily, the Phoenician's much larger, I think.
Yeah, you guys have done a great job. Super impressed with.
Well, Brian, thank you so much. I want to be respectful of your time. We're right at about an hour, and anything else that I think that's a very generous offer.
I want to say one thing. Sorry, before we let Brian go. Just I want to speak to, because I didn't have a very good working knowledge of the product, so I spoke to the Dr. Andrew King, right? Drew King, at ADS, Atlanta Dental Spa. And I'm like, hey, talk to me about what's going on with this. He's like, dude, I have no idea what it is about this, but we are booking and landing tremendous amount of cases. Because this is before, like, I guess you guys had adopted it prior to me. So I just wanted to reach out to him.
We had a different consultation software that will remain nameless, but it was a virtual consultation software, and it didn't work.
Right. Well, what I was trying to say is that, I want to make sure that the audience knows that the return on investment, and I can speak, is a ridiculous multiple. Drew King told me, like, we've signed up like 2 or 3 large cases. So I did the math in my head. I'm like, he just paid for like 4 years of this stuff. It's that worth
it's more than that. I think he alone has done that. Like, multiplied times the 10 doctors or 11 doctors in the ecosystem. And it's like, it categorically changes the trajectory of your year. Right. I mean,
and you guys did a good job of implementing and putting it on Instagram.
Yeah, we put in the work.
Each of your doctors has their own profile, and it's really slick.
It's like the biggest no-brainer.
And everybody's bio, like Drew King and Shavin Gandhi, all have their own like link on their Instagram. So it's not just the software, but you implemented it correctly.
Yeah, we did all the recommendations from honestly Brian's team to the rollout, and lo and behold, it worked. It's just the biggest no-brainer. And honestly, in today's day and age, it's if you're not offering something like this, then God bless you. Like good luck, because we live in a virtual, ASAP. We want results, and I think it really is such a good thing. It's such an arbitrage, such an advantage if you have it versus your competition who doesn't. Is where I'm going.
Awesome.
Okay, yeah, that was good, right, Brian?
What's that?
I said that was good, right?
That was great. Yeah, no. Yeah. And I mean, listen, it doesn't have to be that complicated. It's all about connection, transparency, communication. That's what people want today. There's so many amazing dentists out there. Honestly, I think social media has exposed how many talented dentists are out there. So now it's more just a game of like who can connect with people in the best way, and there's no better way to do it than than virtually, because you can control that process. You mess up, you just record again.
Re-record. And lo and behold, like I said in the first one, you get so much better by every repetition that you do, right? And you can do unlimited repetitions of this of virtually, but you get better in real life too. You get better IRL in real life by doing the virtual. So, and vice versa. So it's just such a good muscle to build.
Can I add one more thing? I know
Please.
this is important to me. So in my practice, it's a multi-doctor practice, and it has to be a meritocracy. So patients get disseminated through referral systems. So Becky goes to Dr. Mike, Becky refers her husband, it goes to Dr. Mike, right? So what we have with our Smile Virtual is we've just told everybody, if you're not going to respond within this amount of time, it's going to go to another doctor. So nothing creates pressure in your organization. Good pressure. You want good pressure, good reasons to compete in business. If you can't handle this request within X amount of hours a day or whatever, it's just going to go to somebody else. Yeah. So what we're seeing is the doctors now that are putting it out there, like book with me now, we're seeing more lift from them, because at the end of the day, being an associate doctor is not just about, picking up the handpiece and drilling. It's about how are you promoting yourself as an intrapreneur, a person who's an entrepreneur within the confines of the business to scale and get better results than your peers. So it's a little bit of we gamified it a bit and creating some healthy competition, which I think is cool.
That's awesome.
Brian, thank you, buddy. I appreciate your time and the 2 pods you've done with us, and looking forward to hanging out with you. Hopefully we get to hang before next year's event, but thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Too.